The Things That Matter by Franklin Cowell, Artarmon 2064. Narrated by David Tredinnick. There is a raucous din in the backyard. The cockies are at it again, stripping the little kumquat tree of its golden grape-sized fruit. Where others see destruction, I marvel at their dexterity as they go about their task. Little trapeze artists swinging effortlessly from branch to branch, defying the law of gravity as they pick at the fruit with great industry, eventually succeeding at getting to the seeds that they prize so highly, while discarding the peel and flesh in a messy display of recklessness. My dogs at the front fence alert me to the presence of my friend, Brian. He declines my invitation to come in, as he is in a hurry to lodge his syndicate's lottery entry for the draw this week. Brian comes to the point immediately, asking whether I would like to be included in his syndicate. One person has pulled out, so you're more than welcome to join us immediately, and your weekly outlay will amount to less than the price of a cup of coffee. He looks at me expectantly, hoping for an answer in the affirmative. It's funny how your mind compartmentalizes all the events in your life and then retrieves, at precisely the right time, the exact incident specific to the moment. I sense my father's presence. Hear his whispered words reveal an untarnished truth. Be grateful for all the little things. These are your gifts, freely given every day. A lottery win cannot begin to be compared to even one of these. Embrace the things that money just can't buy. These truly are your real winnings. There are some things that you can never forget, transient moments that leave lasting memories forever etched on the brain. One such incident happened when I was a young lad, not yet into my teens. The Sydney Opera House lottery was in its infancy, and tickets were being sold for £5 each, with a first prize of £100,000. I asked my father to buy a ticket, thinking, in my naivety, that we could be forever rich once we had won the first prize. My father was a man of limited financial means, but his insight into the human condition was extraordinary. He sat me under the expansive canopy of the jacaranda tree in our backyard and explained that he would not buy us a ticket in the lottery for 3 reasons. First, the outlay of £5 would place a burden on the family budget. Second, the chance of winning the first prize was almost non-existent. And last, our family didn't need the publicity of a lottery win to succeed in life. I had wondered at the time whether he was alluding to the sensational case of the family who had recently won the lottery, only for their 8-year-old son to be kidnapped and murdered a short time later as a result of a ransom gone horribly wrong. It was shortly after this terrible incident that winners were given the option of suppressing their names. You see, I keep winning every day, my father explained. When I wake up and feel the warm caress of the early morning sun against my face, or watch closely as an army of cockatoos swoop down and take up their positions on the overhead electricity cables, bowing and bobbing to one another in some sort of weird ceremony that only they can understand, I close my eyes and breathe in the sweetness rising from the dew damp of yesterday's mown grass, knowing that a person's wealth is not measured by the size of their bank account, but by the honest way they live their life. I quickly came to understand that my father was grateful for the little things in life. He had fought in Borneo during the Second World War, and came home in August 1945 thankful to have survived when so many of his mates had perished. I'm sure it was this sense of gratitude, this awesome respect for the everyday gifts freely bestowed upon us, this simplicity and raw honesty of life itself that he so earnestly wanted to instill in me. Not so long ago I read a sign outside a church that said, "A rich man without compassion is just a poor man with money." And I thought of my father. This was a sentiment with which he would have identified. Brian is waiting for an answer. "So, what will it be?" he asks. I must admit that I haven't been paying much heed to Brian's question, for at this moment my attention is fixed on the canvas of a brilliant, cloudless, deep blue Sydney sky, emblazoned with a sulphur-crested cockatoo swooping down on a neighbour's garbage bin, rhythmically nodding its head in an enterprising effort to flip the lid, which it eventually does, before unceremoniously trashing its way through its contents. "Did you know," I smiled at Brian, "that cockatoos can live for more than 70 years in captivity? Some have even lived to 100. And because they can sometimes outlive their owners, they have been known to die of a broken heart." Brian looks at me oddly, and from his expression I know he thinks I'm nuts. "Thanks for the offer, Brian, but I'll pass." His disappointment is noticeable as he shakes his head and walks away. It isn't about the money. It is, instead, that invaluable lesson taught to me so very long ago by a father who knew that true happiness could never come from something so pretentious as a lottery win, but from real gratitude for the simple things, expressed as a constant thank you from the very depths of the soul. With the sun kissing my face, and with a warm, gentle breeze for company, I waved to my cockatoo friend, who has now been joined by a mate. Life doesn't get any better than this. Turning to go indoors, I could have sworn I felt my father's arm rest gently across my shoulders. The end.